Crime Curious is a true crime podcast that takes an in-depth look into real cases through the lens of a trained investigator and former prosecutor turned judge.
If you are sensitive to expletives, anatomical descriptions, and accurate descriptions of crime scenes, this podcast may not be suitable for you.
Welcome to Crime Curious. I'm Charnell.
I'm Megan.
And bring Beth Jason.
Welcome, guys. Let's shake all the
shake.
gree. Welcome to our general audience. And thanks to Donna.
This is a general audience episode.
Megan accidentally brought her stress ball from work with her.
I walked right out the door with it. You know you're having a bad day when you realize as you're getting in to put your car in to drive that you're holding a stress ball.
And when you squeeze it and it sounds like macaroni.
It does. Just like
'Cause
macaroni
that's
and
what
cheese.
Sounds like mac and cheese.
Just mac and cheese. That's all it sounds like. You know that it's been a day.
What are you bringing us today?
Oh.
Something crimey, something deathy.
I'm bringing us, definitely deathy, but a case suggestion from our lovely listener, Donna. She's been a long-time listener.
Yes.
And this actually came to her from her son, who is a journalist and covered a story about the perpetrator in today's case. And later, I'm going to tell you exactly why her son was covering the perpetrator in the media.
I like a good mystery.
Yes, keep that in mind. But first, we want to talk about the victim, the absolutely adorable and sweet 34-year-old mother of two, Edwina Marter. She was born June 20th, 1940 in New Orleans to Emily and Edwin, which is where Edwina comes from, Edwin DeGrue.
Are you giving me a New Orleans case or do they move?
They move.
Okay.
They move. She had two sisters, Mary and Norma, and a brother named Roger. Her mother passed away, and I'm unsure at what age that this happened in her life, but her father did remarry, so Edwina had a stepmother named Genevieve. There's not a whole lot more information that I could tell you about her childhood or even the year that she married her beloved Charles Marter. And just not that I'm looking for a round of applause, but for me to even get that much information was seriously difficult.
Okay.
There's not, I had to garner some from her obituary.
Find a grave.
So, yes, that is usually very helpful.
Sometimes
but
it's
then,
not, though.
Then the other pieces just came to me from small snippets of articles. If you just heard that, Jason's
My chair.
chair
Wasn't my body.
makes some real weird noises when he leans to the left.
Literally had to replace the table because of him and the squeaking, and now it's the chair.
I know.
Eventually, we're going to be on the floor, crisscross applesauce with pillows doing this podcast.
Seriously, because that's the only
soundproof
way
things.
that we can Jason-proof all of our
Sorry.
equipment. All right. So anyway, now I know that she lived in Mississippi City, Mississippi.
That's a thing?
It is Mississippi City, Mississippi, for 4 years before eventually ending up in Gulfport, Mississippi, which is where this case takes place. Edwina and Charles welcomed their first son in 1966, Eric, when Edwina was 26 years old. Then in 1972, little Kevin came along, and Edwina was a happy stay-at-home mother. Charles did really well financially. He was a senior vice president of Gulf National Bank.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
It's
And
a big franchise down there.
It is.
They're
And
everywhere,
so
from Mississippi, New Orleans, all the way over through the Panhandle.
yeah,
Hence the Gulf.
the
Fuck
Gulf.
you.
Yeah,
Yep, that's what I said.
she did. And you know what? What she says goes. So she doesn't have her gavel here, but if she did, it would sound something like this.
After hours.
Now, Edwina was a member of St. James Catholic Church and the auxiliary of Memorial Hospital at Gulfport. She was a founder of the St. James Booster Club, a past secretary of the St. James PTA, and was active in scouting, serving as a den mother of Troop 204. She was able to volunteer because Charles provided really well for the family, and she got to stay at home with the babies. And she didn't just sit idly by. She was really active and involved in her community. And I just really want that to be out there for people to know. She was described as a typical loving and involved mother. She liked to take her boys to the beach in her convertible Volkswagen Beetle. I don't know what color it is. I'm hoping it was yellow.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what we're all picturing. And when you see a
Herbie
photo,
the love bug.
yeah, when you see a photo of her like is young Edwina when she got married, it's exactly what you would picture of someone driving a Volkswagen convertible Beetle. Just cute as a button.
I want her to have like a little scarf in her hair, even though,
Right?
Like
Big
Jackie O
sunglasses, little
style.
scarf.
I do.
She might have. I'm going to have to look up a picture or show you some pictures that I found of her. I don't believe that there was a scarf involved, but that doesn't
There
mean
is in
that there
my head.
wasn't at some point in time, especially while she's driving around in her convertible, because you don't want to mess up the
No,
hair.
She had the scarf.
So, needless to say, the car was just as adorable as she was, and she enjoyed being with her girlfriends, who would frequently come over during the day for coffee and playing cards, and she enjoyed watching the latest daytime TV shows.
Oh, she
of
liked her
course.
soaps.
Mm-hmm.
Mama's stories.
She was just living her life, bothering absolutely no one, doing nothing wrong.
Okay.
Then, January 12th, 1976, a knock comes to her door.
Is it Satan?
Basically,
Okay.
yeah, it's definitely a minion of Satan.
In a Satan suit?
Um,
Satan skin?
Interesting, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get there. Put a pin in that.
Yes, ma'am.
3-year-old Kevin was home with her sleeping, and Eric, who was 9 at the time, was at catechism classes.
Oh.
I know. While Charles, of course, was at work. The man at the door was dressed in a red jumpsuit. So yeah, basically like Satan.
Like
He's
a
red.
gnome?
I'm thinking like
Santa?
Ukrainian gangster.
They
More
wore red overalls or red
Like
a
like
red jumpsuit.
jumpsuits?
What's the difference between a jumpsuit and like a, like a jogging gym suit kind of thing?
Well, a
That's what I'm thinking
jumpsuit,
of.
as soon as I tell
I'm
you what he
thinking-
was, what he was telling Edwina he was, it'll make sense.
Oh, like a maintenance guy kind of
Auto
jumpsuit
mechanic.
with red?
He
Or the
claimed
power
the Beetle.
company, the electric company.
he did. He claimed he was an electrician. Yeah.
So more like the long sleeve work
Yeah,
coverall.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, coveralls, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Probably
And-
said Bill and a name tag on the left.
But his name wasn't even Bill.
But
Of
wasn't
course it
Bill 'cause
wasn't.
he stole it.
No, he stole it. He probably beat somebody up for it. I don't know. I didn't find that detail, but it certainly wasn't a real electrician's
He lifted it
jumpsuit.
from the back of Randy's Electric on the way over.
And the only way jumpsuits look good are on people built like Channing Tatum and tied at the waist, when the top is tied at the waist and
That's
they're wearing
also-
a white tank top.
That's also questionable because I don't know. I mean, he can kind of pull it off because he's
I
Channing
said
Tatum,
built
but
like him.
he looks ridiculous. I'm kind of built like him.
Doesn't
About as
we
tall
both
as
have,
him.
we both
Okay.
have pecs and we're the same height.
You know what? It still stands. I'd like to see you in that too.
look
I think it would be
terrible.
wonderful.
I look terrible in them.
I think it'd be good. Anyway, so he says that he is an electrician and that there have been issues in the neighborhood and he needed to check her circuit breakers.
I hate him.
And he said he'd been checking all the neighbors as well. So, upon entering the home, the man overpowers Edwina and kidnaps her. He forced her into his car at gunpoint and made her drive his vehicle to the DeSoto National Forest. They left 3-year-old Kevin alone sleeping. Now, Edwina's friend first became concerned when she phoned the home, and 3-year-old Kevin answered.
Oh yeah, that's concerning.
Yep.
Where's mommy? She's not here.
Yes. The friend then went to the home, found Kevin alone, and knew immediately something was wrong. Now, one article said that she contacted the police, who then contacted Charles. I couldn't find any other information about how this actually came about to Charles, but that's what I had to go by. So I'm assuming that it would reason. I don't know that that her friends would have Charles's contact information. when they just come over and have coffee and play bridge, right? So I would think that probably was the right chain of how it happened. She called the police, said her friend is definitely missing. She wouldn't leave her child alone. And then they got into touch with Charles. Meanwhile, Edwina is at the DeSoto National Forest, scared and being told that she's just being held for ransom. The stocky man in the red jumpsuit was Richard Gerald Jordan, which is a mouthful to say. Richard Gerald Jordan.
Do you know what you've said before about people that have all first names?
I know. I was thinking that when I was writing these notes. Here we are with another MFer.
Serial killer.
Freaking
Satan.
3 first
People,
names. Don't do that to your kids.
If your last name is Jordan or James or whatever, or Michael.
Or Scott.
Don't name your child something with 2 more first names.
No,
Pick something crazy for a first name.
Do it.
Bennington.
Something.
Right?
A name of a city.
Yeah.
You know, a name of a car part. Call him Carburetor. I don't care. They can call him Car for short. Or Berator. I don't know. But don't name him with 3, or change your last name. Add on to your last name. Make your last name Scottsdale.
Right. Because otherwise we're going to judge you.
Yeah. Or you could potentially be predispositioning your child to be a murderer. That's all we're saying. Not to be dramatic about it.
Also, there's absolutely no facts to support those statements. We're just making them because
It
that's
really is a
what's...
very, very vague coincidence, and often it happens because they want to give their full name.
I know you might think that we're actually jumping to conclusions here, but
hear
me
just
out.
saying.
I said not to be dramatic. However, to be fair, there's plenty of people with normal first and last names that are also assholes and murderers too. So it turns out, just don't raise dicks. How about that?
Well-
Let's just not raise shitheads.
You don't comment.
General audience.
How not to be an asshole.
Right. Well, how about just don't be a murderer or, violent person.
People
of
don't
any
talk
sort.
enough to their children about how not to become a murderer.
They don't. They really don't. And I think we need to open that conversation up. In my new book that's coming out, no, I'm just kidding.
How to talk to your kids about not being homicidal.
The conversation is this. Please do not add to the population or delete from the population, son.
Yep.
That's the conversation I had when mine went to college.
Yeah, it's the golden rule, really. Add to the population when the time is right, but
Well,
never take from it.
His were for in the next 4 years. That's
Yes.
advice for in the next 4 years.
So Richard Gerald Jordan, he's a 29-year-old unemployed shipyard worker who was also an Army veteran.
Oh.
And he wasn't an Army veteran on his own volition. He actually committed fraud, if I remember right, in high school. And his options back then were go to jail or join the Army. And he was like, sure, let's join the Army. And so then he does end up with PTSD because he never wanted to go in the first place.
And what year was this?
This is 1976 when he's 29 years old. Mm-hmm.
Still the draft.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And he was in Vietnam. So, yep. All right. He took absolutely no time at all to force Edwina out of the car, where he shot her at once at close range in the head.
He wasn't intending to sexually assault her?
He did not sexually assault her at all.
He kidnapped her to kill her.
He kidnapped her allegedly to hold her for ransom, but ended up doing none of those things and truly just murdering her. Yeah.
Oh, he's scary.
Well, after killing her, he went to the movie theater and watched Death Wish. I don't even know what that is.
Charles Bronson's
Yeah.
most popular movie.
Okay.
It was like...
Oh, sorry. Wasn't
it'd
born
be like,
yet.
It'd be like watching Jason Statham in the 70s.
Okay.
It wasn't Planet of the Apes?
Charles Bronson was not.
Oh,
was
never
Charlton
mind. That was
Heston.
Charlton Heston.
Two
I'm like, what
very-
is he talking
Two
about?
very different actors
Very
with
different men.
backgrounds and
You're
genres.
very
Yeah.
right.
Yep. So that's what he did with his time after killing Edwina.
You want to watch the movie?
And then he was like, you know what? By now, Charles has probably figured out his wife is missing. So let me just go ahead and call him. He went by Chuck. Charles went by Chuck. Let me call him, and I'm going to demand $50,000 in ransom and tell him that Edwina is still alive.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's what he does. He calls Charles. Yep. The men spoke that evening, and then for a second time, he called once, let him know what's up. I got your wife. I want $50,000. Then I'll call you back with the details. So he calls him back and tells him on an exact location where Charles is going to drop off the money and he's going to pick it up. Now, that night, Charles does drive to the spot, trailed by sheriff's deputies, of course. And Richard had set this initial meeting up as a test. And he knew immediately that he was being watched. And so he leaves. He calls Charles the next day, accuses him of trying to pull a fast one on him. And Mr. Jordan there gives Charles a new plan to drop the money off. But this time he reduced the ransom demand to $25,000. No idea why. Why'd we go from 50 to 25? There's zero explanation other than this man is psychotic.
Yeah, he just wanted some cash, honestly. He's already killed her.
Yep. He told Charles to make several turns before getting on the freeway so that the police would not be able to keep up with him. All right. He tells Charles to leave the cash at a spot near Interstate 10 and Canal Road in Gulfport at 9 a.m. on January 13th, which Charles does do. And an FBI agent and a Harrison County Sheriff's deputy are waiting in a pickup truck near the site. When Jordan arrives, I'm just calling him by his last name now, just so you know. I got sick of writing.
Only humans have first names.
Yeah, and I got sick of writing all of his first names. So just from here on out, he's Jordan. Okay? So it's a mouthful to say all of those damn names. And apparently, this is lazy podcasting today. I'm just sick of saying all the names. Anyway, he arrives to retrieve the money. And of course, the FBI attempt to move in on him. He ran into a sheriff's department vehicle and ran into a ditch and kept driving even when shots were fired at his car. The sheriff deputy involved in the chase was Larkin I. Smith, who later became the Harrison County Sheriff and then a U.S. Congressman.
That's a good name.
It is. Larkin Smith.
Larkin Smith.
It is. It's a sturdy name.
I'd let that name buy me a drink.
Jordan. Oh, boy. Jordan evaded law enforcement and abandoned his car. Still, a Gulfport police officer was able to find him in a taxi about 1 p.m. that same day and arrests him. They were able, by the way, to recover a majority of the money, the $25,000.
Really?
He really did. He really was given, and he really did take. Yeah, I mean, minus some taxi fare, of course. Jordan tells the police that he killed Edwina, and he took them to her body and the murder weapon, which is kind of surprising to everyone
Pretty
involved.
easy case.
It was. They were really surprised. But during a mental health evaluation after his arrest, Jordan told a psychiatrist that an accomplice had actually shot Edwina and then left before Jordan carried out the ransom scheme.
It really hits hard when you realize that you've made all the admissions and now there's no way out.
Yep.
So you got to make up a third person.
Because that's just it. He's making up a disassociated personality to blame the actual murder on, but he's like, I didn't do the murdering. All I did was call for the ransom and take the ransom money. Is he making
up this personality, or does he have this personality?
Well, it's never really stated. I don't have any belief to... I don't have any information to say that he was diagnosed with multiple personalities. I believe this was just his defense.
He made this up.
And yes, and this is why.
If you gave me any information to indicate that there had been extensive mental health evaluations and that he had diagnoses where he had, it's not called multiple personality disorder anymore.
It's
Dissociative.
Dissociative. Thank you.
Identity disorder.
I appreciate that because I needed the correct terminology. Yeah. But there's no showing of that.
There's not. And really, so what his defense attorneys did is they looked at his mental health examination and they found the recollections to be really inconsistent and disoriented. And so they didn't even try to use this claim as his defense.
Oh, that's a good defense attorney.
Yeah, like because they knew,
listen,
what are we going to do with this?
You know, as a defense attorney, whether your defense is going to be so unbelievable or rub a jury raw that you're like the wrong way, right? Like you're not going to use it.
Yes.
And I've had them before where I had a defense attorney say, this defense is just so incredible, it's got to be real. Like, there's no way that this is even believable if it wasn't true. And I'm like, unless it's not.
Unless it's absolutely malarkey.
And that's why it's also incredible. And
Exactly. So who is Richard Gerald Jordan and how did it go so terribly wrong for him? Well, I'm going to tell you.
all right, little Dickie J.
Yes, Dickie J. Let's just call him that. I love it. He was born in Hattiesburg, Mississippi on May 25th, 1946 to Mr. and Mrs. Homer H. Jordan. He grew up in nearby Patel. Neighbors later said that he had a reputation of being a good person through his school days. He graduated from Patel High School, and this is where he was charged with check forgery, and he agreed to join the U.S. Army in exchange for the charges being dropped. And he spent about 4 to 5 years. I saw it mentioned both ways, so it's somewhere between 4 and 5 years in the Army serving in the Vietnam War. And he was severely traumatized by his 3 terms of Army service in Vietnam, and he didn't receive the support that he needed to overcome the trauma.
I'm looking at his picture right now, and he actually looks friendly.
Yeah.
Like he looks like a cartoon
Kind of has
character.
like a little bit of a Gomer Pyle
He
smile.
does. He looks like he just, I mean, of course, it's a military picture, and
He reminds
was
me
a
of Jay
veteran.
Leno. He's
Yeah.
a
He
does have a
long
large
face.
face.
And
I guess
chin.
my point is, if there could be somebody who looks like a murderer, serial killer, it's not him.
No,
No.
it wouldn't be my first guess.
No, especially not. Well, this is where I'm getting to the part of in his, it's really not a defense, but of his life where we're seeing how things took a turn, right? Because he didn't receive trauma support, of course, coming out of the Army.
If you were one of the individuals in Vietnam that had to actually take other people's lives, there is a portion of that population that became very desensitized to any type of causing harm to others, causing injury, or even, again, killing.
Yes.
That requires extensive therapy. And that's not just in Vietnam. That's in any of our major U.S. wars. If you get so used to having to kill somebody, eventually you're going to be desensitized.
Well, and I think that's
certain minds will be desensitized. Let me take that back.
I think that's why it was so easy for him to just get her out of the car and shoot her immediately.
Right.
It's just like, this is my mission.
Well,
So
that makes sense
it's done.
now.
Yeah. In 1970, Dickie J was court-martialed for falsifying official documents. He was sentenced to 9 months in the United States disciplinary barracks in Fort Leavenworth.
Yep.
By the mid-1970s, he had married and he had 3 children. After his military discharge, he worked in Louisiana while his wife maintained their home in Hattiesburg. He spent a year managing a fertilizer plant and 2 to 3 months working in a Morgan City shipyard before being let go.
Okay. Because they're so close together right there.
Mm-hmm. By 1976, Dickie J became desperate for money, and he planned to kidnap someone from a wealthy family and demand ransom money. So he decided to go to Gulfport, Mississippi to carry this out. On his way out of Louisiana, he stopped at a pawn shop in Baton Rouge and traded in his 16-gauge shotgun for a .38 caliber pistol. He told his parents that he was going to take a physical to obtain a position at an offshore oil rig, which would also have been common for the area.
And paid well. He should have done that, by the way.
He should have. I know. I was thinking the same thing. Like, that was the choice. It was there in your head. You had it in your mind. All you needed to do was bring it to creation and make that choice.
He chose to go that way.
Mm-hmm. After spending a few days learning his way around Gulfport, Dickie J executed his plot to break into the home of a banking executive. He called the Gulf National Bank from a payphone and asked to speak to the person in charge of issuing commercial loans. The bank representative told him that that's Charles Chuck Marter, and that's who could help him.
So he targeted his family, his wife. He's like, Charles Marter, that's the guy with the money?
Yep.
He's going to have a wife at home.
Yep. And using a Gulfport telephone directory, Dickie J looked up his address.
Terrifying.
It is. And I mean, and this could still happen today. It's even easier to freaking find people today. On January 12th, 1976 is when he drove to Edwina and Charles Marter's home, pretending to be an electric company worker that needed to check the circuit breakers. So in July, that's his story. Now you know. In July 1976, he goes to trial for Edwina's kidnapping and murder. He was granted a change of venue from Harrison County to Jackson County because of concerns that local news coverage of the crime might be difficult, of course, to get an impartial jury. So the trial was actually held in Pascagoula, I can never say this.
Pascagoula.
Pascagoula. Yes, I can sing things.
It's
sometimes
because of Ray Stevens.
better than I can say it.
It's from the Mississippi Squirrel.
But sometimes I truly
You
can.
don't know
I have
that
no idea what
song?
you're talking
Oh,
about.
you don't? You've not heard it? We're gonna have to play that for him.
100%.
He's gonna love it.
But you will learn to pronounce Pascagoula.
Pascagoula. Mm-hmm. And you'll learn how to sing it better than read it and say it.
Say it.
Pascagoula.
Pascagoula.
Yeah, but when you see it written, it's a lot of letters
It's hard
together
for your brain and your tongue to process
to say it at the same time. Mm-hmm. And that, words like that, I do better singing them than actually saying them too. But anyway, the jury selection was held on July 19th, and the trial lasted 3 days. The prosecutors called 24 witnesses. No one testified for the defense.
They don't have to.
No. The jury deliberated for 4 hours before returning the guilty verdict on capital murder.
Okay. So they have the death penalty there?
They sure do. Mm-hmm. And so on July 21st, 1976, he was found guilty on this capital murder charge. All right. The trial judge asked Dickie J if he wished to address the court before sentencing, and he declined. Now, at the time, capital murder carried an automatic death sentence in Mississippi.
Wow.
And this sentence was handed down to Richard Jordan. However, there was already a case before the Supreme Court of Mississippi in which the court was expected to rule automatic death sentences unconstitutional. So, District Attorney Albert Nikes and Assistant District Attorney Joe Sam Owen anticipated that this ruling before Jordan's sentencing, and they considered entering a motion for a trial with a separate punishment hearing. Still, they could find no basis in Mississippi law for such a motion. So he has the capital murder charge.
Yeah, because it hadn't been overturned yet, they can't the judge has to assess the automatic death sentence. But I'm assuming what probably came of that, and I don't recall the case offhand, is that they actually have to make findings or you have to have a separate hearing. So is that a really big spider behind you crawling on that fridge?
Yeah.
Okay. It was just
It's not really big.
If it
it's
jumps,
pretty average.
well, I
It's
know.
a jumper.
Okay. Yeah. Put your thing on it, not your finger. Your water bottle. Okay.
He's definitely not. We could trap him, just carry him outside.
I don't like him.
He's fine.
Oh, you keep an eye on him while we continue.
My point was,
yes,
which I may have forgotten,
is that been terrified out of you.
If they live in a state where the judge gets to make the sentencing decision, in Michigan, you don't have a separate trial or a hearing for sentencing. The judge decides all the time. It's just putting that there's not any mitigating factors, what your findings are, and why you deserve the sentence you have. And of course, we have sentencing guidelines and scoring here. But there are still states where they have either a grand jury or a trial, or the actual jury that finds the individual guilty also goes back, and then they also provide the sentence afterwards as well.
Well, this is a wild ride of what happens.
Okay.
So just to get ready.
Oh, I thought we aren't even at the end. I thought maybe you were going to tell me that he's still awaiting the death penalty at this point, and he's 1,000,000 years old.
I'm going to tell you lots of things.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not done here, my friends. Later that year, so this is 1977. Okay.
The year of my birth.
Yes, and this is the year after the murder. The U.S. Supreme Court held that automatic death sentences were constituted cruel and unusual punishment in cases from North Carolina and Louisiana, and Jordan receives a new trial. Okay.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Not a new sentencing hearing, a new trial.
Nope. And a second trial begins in Pascagoula on February 28th, 1977, with separate phases to determine guilt or innocent and decide on punishment.
Okay. That's because you do have to have a separate sentencing hearing if your jury is the one choosing the sentence and not your judge, Jason. You're looking at me.
No, I'm confused about him getting a second.
I don't know that he should have, but we recently, if they had a U.S. Supreme Court decision, and I know that they did, like I said, I can't remember names, but this sounds correct. I don't think you would necessarily automatically have the right to an actual trial on the merits. It should be for sentencing. But if the jury was the one that decided all of that to begin with, and there weren't any separate findings because it was automatic, I think it's a matter of they were just going to verify due process.
Yep. A second trial began in Pascagoula on February 28, 1977, with separate phases to determine guilt or innocent and decide on punishment. The prosecution and defense presented the evidence in much the same manner as the first trial, and Dickie J. was found guilty of murder on March 2nd, 1977, and the sentencing hearing was then held the same day. In the punishment phase, defense attorney Earl Denham said that Jordan had been a good person until he was about 30.
Until he murdered someone.
Well, right. And they're saying something happened to him then, and I'll never know what it is, but he was and remains a sick man, he told the jury. The defense called character witnesses this time, including Jordan's parents and a prison chaplain that had prayed with Jordan for more than a year. Prosecutors cross-examined the chaplain, not Jordan's parents, and they called no new witnesses. While jurors were deliberating over Jordan's sentence that evening, they told the judge that one juror was not in favor of giving Jordan the death penalty. Denham and co-counsel Rhett Russell moved for a mistrial. The motion was denied. The jury deliberated and unanimously handed down a death sentence at 7 p.m. So he gets the same sentence. In the early 1980s, Jordan challenged the death sentence during his second trial because of improper jury instructions.
Right.
During closing arguments of that second trial, when Owens was discussing aggravating circumstances that support a capital murder conviction, he told jurors that, quote, each of you have to determine what is an aggravating circumstance, end quote. In August of 1982, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that Supreme Court precedent requires jurors to be given specific guidance on objective standards for aggravating circumstances.
Correct.
So they weren't given it in this.
Right. You don't get to decide, actually. You have a jury instruction for what constitutes aggravated.
An aggravated, which makes sense. You can't just tell them you get to decide what an aggravating circumstance is. No, there's specific instructions for what an aggravating circumstance is.
You don't get to decide what the law is or the descriptors of it. They can decide what the facts are. In fact, one of my instructions is you and only you are the determiners of what is true or false, what is a fact in this case. But you have to agree that you'll listen to the law as I instruct you on it, and they all have to agree before they're seated.
Yeah. The Fifth Circuit vacated Jordan's death sentence and ordered that a new sentencing hearing be held in Jackson County Circuit Court. In the spring of 1983, a few weeks before the new sentencing hearing, Denham withdrew from representing Dickie J because he was planning to take a sabbatical from law practice. So Gulfport attorney Joseph Hudson was appointed to replace him and attorney Earl Stegall. They continued to assist Jordan in his defense. Owen was engaged in private practice by this time, but he agreed to act as a special prosecutor at the request of Edwina Marter's family. Owen testified at the new hearing, explaining that desperation, I didn't mean Owen, I'm sorry. I said Owen, I was reading the word Jordan and said Owen. My apologies.
Dickie J.
Dickie J testified at the new hearing, explaining that desperation led him to the crime as he owed money for a car, a boat, department store credit card, and other expenses. The defense also called character witnesses again, including a death row guard and some of Jordan's relatives and friends this time. The prosecution focused on potential inconsistencies in Jordan's explanation of the crime. They introduced blood splatter evidence this time, indicating that Edwina was motionless when she was shot, not running away, because that is actually what Jordan had said.
He executed her.
Well, he decides to say that in this particular case, he was shooting in her direction to scare her and accidentally shot her in the head.
Right, because he's never given
some pretty good aim.
He's never given a defense before. And he still isn't during that part of the trial, the factual fact-finding. Right. He's giving it during the mitigating part for sentencing purposes.
Yes, he is. And so that's what he's trying to say. So they bring in blood splatter evidence to say, no, she was standing still. You executed her. She wasn't running. She was not attempting to get away. You weren't trying to scare her. You were trying to murder her. And that's what you did. Prosecutors actually played out a tape of Richard Jordan's statement to the Harrison County investigator, in which he explained that while he had intended to come to Biloxi to look for work, He thought of the ransom plot and carried it out before he filled out any job applications.
And
all right?
that's the part we already identified, that he made a conscious decision between being a big boy and getting a real job or killing someone.
Exactly.
And he chose death for
He did.
someone.
Right. And if he had used the defense of, I was in financial turmoil, I had to do this. If he had kidnapped somebody and I was on a jury, I'm like, oh, okay. But
Well,
he executed
He
her.
executed her.
So
Like
they
if
have-
she was still alive and they
Yeah.
were charging him for kidnapping and that was his defense, he'd still be guilty. But I gotta have some empathy for
Think
him.
about his past criminal history. They're all property crime related.
Right.
He falsified a check and he committed some type of forgery while he was
He's a
in.
dishonest
high school.
person. He's a dishonest
Right.
He is.
person.
But
Prior bad acts.
But he, even with all of that and with that criminal behavior, he never went to murder in either of those cases. If he was clearly having some type of a financial issue and decided to break the law, why not forge something?
Right.
Why not commit the crimes that you've already committed that you have a history of? You went to kidnapping and murder. This is a large step up from
Right.
the crimes you were committing, and it's a significant and concerning one.
Well, like his first defense attorney said, something happened to him about the age of 30 that changed him. A lot of it is pointing to PTSD from being in the Army, what have you. But I agree with you that his prior bad acts had been forgery of bad checks.
I think there's potential. I mean, again, in terms, I don't know if there was a real PTSD diagnosis or they're just saying that, but I do have some concern that he was desensitized a little bit to humanity based off of his
Right.
Oh,
experiences,
absolutely.
Yeah.
which is not a mitigating factor in my opinion.
No.
He did what he did.
And at this third sentencing trial, essentially, he's given death row again.
Okay, all right. So we have 3 death sentences. This guy
It is held up again.
It has 3 death sentences for the same person in multiple hearings.
Yep.
I'm sure it's happened before, but that's crazy.
So, 1986, his legal team challenged his third death sentence because he had been barred from introducing mitigating testimony related to his good behavior in prison. Specifically, his lawyers attempted to introduce testimony from former defense attorney Rhett Russell. According to Rhett Russell, Mr. Jordan had devised a technique for generating electricity using wind tunnels. So he invented the wind turbine in prison, and this went unnoticed
A waste of it.
Why does his good behavior after being incarcerated
after murdering
excuse
somebody. His sentence.
sentencing?
Well, I'm not saying I agree with this, but I'm going to tell you why sometimes that can be let in. Propensity to be able to be rehabilitated, being able to show that you can accept responsibility and gone on to do good things, potential for keeping a person alive.
Jason's face right now, you
I
guys.
did not say I agreed with it. I'm telling you the why part of it.
You asked her a question, she gave you an answer.
I feel
Your I statements are valid, sir.
that if you have the proper motivation, like, not being executed, you're going to behave differently.
I think that is you being a prosecutor who could come in then, and after someone talks about how good they've been in prison, you can say things like, yes, isn't it crazy how good people do when they're kept away from the general public with strict rules, told what to do, and made to modify their behaviors.
And the fear,
And monitored
and the fear of-
24/7.
and the fear of being executed.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the fear of death is,
I would
can you,
be an angel.
right, you're like, listen here, Dickie
I
J.
know 6 different degrees.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can
Yep.
you all paid for by the public?
Right.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
Well, I'm still paying my student loans.
They would love me in prison.
I don't. Well, yeah, they would.
Well,
You're so pretty.
right.
Oh, you meant for different reasons.
Yes.
Oh,
I mean,
I'm like, God, he's been pretty honest today with the public.
he
They would
really
love
is.
me in prison. Yes, they would.
I would.
So listen, here's the thing. In January 1985, the Mississippi Supreme Court rejected Dickie J's appeal, saying that such testimony from Mr. Russell amounted to hearsay and would not have been admissible in court. The appeal went to the U.S. Supreme Court, which disagreed with the lower courts and set aside the third death sentence and returned the case to the Mississippi Supreme Court in May 1986.
This is crazy. How have I never heard of this
I
case?
know.
I should have learned this case in law school.
You should have. It is a legal shit show.
because there were Supreme Court decisions, or was that a Mississippi Supreme Court?
It was
case?
Mississippi Supreme
Okay,
Court.
so it wasn't in my federal jurisdiction.
Well, the next year, the Mississippi
Crazy.
Supreme Court ordered a new sentencing hearing. So here we fucking go again.
Take 4.
Yep. In 1991, Instead of pursuing a fourth death sentence.
Did you just say 1991?
I did. 1991.
We went from 1977 to when I was born to 1991 when I started junior high.
We went from 77. Hold on. 77 to 83.
Right.
To 86 to 91. Can you imagine her family?
No. I can't.
So
no one deserves that.
No. Instead of pursuing a fourth death sentence, the Harrison County District Attorney offered a plea deal.
No.
Where Dickie Jordan...
He's already found guilty. There's nothing to plead to.
Well, you just strap in, Judge.
I don't want
Your
to.
Majesty, there is more.
Jordan, my flower wand.
You do. Hold on to it tight. Grab that stress ball that you were squeaking earlier. All right. So the plea deal is that Dickie J will receive life imprisonment without the possibility of parole as long as he agreed not to challenge his sentence anymore. Like, this is just what we do now.
But that's what he wanted.
Uh-huh.
He wanted life, right?
Well,
yes.
He certainly didn't want death.
He's not
clearly.
Right.
Well, I'm not saying, I'm sorry, have there ever been any arguments that he should receive less than life in prison?
No.
Or are they just trying to not have the death penalty?
They're just trying to not have the death penalty.
They're giving him what he wants.
Yes. So, of course, Dickie J agrees to the deal and was sentenced accordingly. At the time of the plea deal, Mississippi's sentencing guidelines said that only 2 sentences could be handed down for a first-time capital defender like Dickie Jordan. Death.
So the people that didn't get made to die the first time, if they come back a second time, then
yes.
Right.
There's the 2 options, death and life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Then Mississippi law changes in 1994 to allow life without parole sentences for any capital offense. But at some point, Richard Jordan discovered that his sentence had been improper at the time of the plea agreement. So Owen, the prosecutor, later said that he disagreed with the district attorney's decision to offer the plea deal because he knew the sentence would be improper. So Dickie Jordan challenged the propriety of the life without parole sentence, hoping that his sentence would simply be modified to life with the possibility of parole. But instead,
he got the death penalty.
The Supreme Court vacated the sentence, giving him a new sentencing hearing.
Son of a bitch. So this is 5.
This is 5. Yes.
Because the first one they did a plea deal on, so
right,
that's counts. It got remanded.
Yes. Right.
So this is the 5, but 4th that's going to run.
Right.
And at this point in time, you maybe hopefully have prosecutors that are like, fuck this, let's just do it, man.
It's 1998 now you guys.
Now I'm in college, Jason.
It's 98.
This case has spanned my whole life.
Yes. It's all relative. In terms of Megan's life, we went from the year you were born to the year you entered college. That's how ridiculous this is.
Did you say Donna recommended this case?
Donna, yes. Donna
this is
did.
crazy.
It is crazy.
Nuts.
By the way, we're the same age. I'm slightly older.
So after Dickie Jordan's life without parole sentence was vacated, the Harrison County District Attorney's office was recused from the case, and former Assistant District Attorney Joe Sam Owen was appointed as a special prosecutor to represent the state.
How is he still alive?
He's a little older now. Realizing that he was
He's
again...
just a head in one of those tube things that
in a
comes
jar.
rolling in a jar, like Walt Disney.
I was thinking more Max Headroom, but...
Mr. Owen, you're here. Let's get started. So realizing that he was once again in jeopardy of a death sentence, Richard Jordan asked Owen for the original sentence that he had been handed down with the plea deal. Life imprisonment without the possibility of parole.
But you never should have appealed to begin with, you jackhole.
Exactly. Joe Sam Owen, also someone with 3 first names, but chose good instead of evil. He refuses to offer another plea deal, saying that, you know what? Dickie Jordan has violated the previous agreement by challenging his sentence, because remember how that was a part?
That was the agreement.
Remember?
Listen, you have to stick by your word or your kids will never take you seriously with your punishments. So good job, Owen. Mr. Owen.
By now, his kids are adults.
His grandkids are adults.
No, I mean Jordan's.
Oh.
Jordan's kids are adults. You're right, though. Joe Sam, head in a jar. His kids are grandkids now. So Mr. Owen pursues the death penalty at the next sentencing hearing in April 1998. At that hearing, Dickie J's lawyers, Tom Summerall and Wade Bain, called 12 witnesses, including family members and prison employees who now probably feel like family members because he's been in prison.
So the cafeteria guy in the prison is like, listen.
Yeah.
He's
a good guy.
dude.
He's a good dude. He never bitches about the mashed potatoes being too runny.
He cleans his plate.
He asks for seconds.
Yeah.
He helps clean up.
Doesn't care about the cockroaches.
Doesn't sodomize any of his friends.
Now, the prison employees testified that Dickie Jordan's service, that he was trustworthy. His work with electricity and his short stories and novels that he had written while incarcerated were entertaining. And so
he's entertaining?
He's entertaining.
Well, we can't kill him then.
He can tell a good story.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
would be
He
a
can
shame.
spin a yarn. Let's not kill him.
Now, some people call that a defense, Jason.
So Mr. Owen said that, you know what? Richard Jordan had done the prison work to benefit himself, not society. Which absolutely, Sam Owen, you are right. As for trustworthy, Mr. Owen said that, listen, Dickie Jordan could enjoy the good life because he had privileges such as extra phone and television access while incarcerated. This isn't a man who's suffering. Jurors deliberated for 35 minutes before handing down another death sentence.
Holy fuck.
The jury foreman...
Talk about making a mistake as a prisoner.
Right? Going back on your word and challenging your plea deal to try to get parole. Yeah.
Instead, you get the death penalty.
Yeah, you
again.
fooked.
This is the ultimate. You fucked up, man.
The jury foreman referred to the decision as a no-brainer and commented on Richard Jordan's apparent lack of remorse and the 22 years that had elapsed since the initial verdict. Now, Richard Jordan later appeals the death sentence, stating that prosecutorial vindictiveness led Mr. Owen to pursue the death penalty when he became irritated that Richard Jordan had challenged his life sentences.
No, it was because you reneged on a plea agreement.
Yep.
You agreed that you wouldn't challenge this at any additional times in the future and
continue to cost the state money, and you did.
Yes.
Isn't there a limit, like on how many times you can appeal?
No,
something?
honey,
Like when you're incarcerated.
Not usually from a capital offense. If there was some type of a clear error or abuse of discretion that was made, no, there's not a limit.
To pursue this due process appeal, Jordan needed a certificate of appealability, or a COA, but the district court and the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals refused to grant him one. The Fifth Circuit said that Jordan had failed to prove that Mr. Owens was vindictive. U.S. Supreme Court precedent does not require the defendant to prove cases' underlying merits before obtaining a COA. The issue went to the Supreme Court, which ruled against Mr. Jordan in 2015.
COA is cause of action.
They labeled this as a certificate of appealability.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
That's not what it is here.
So essentially,
I thought its cause of action COA here would be that he didn't have a basis with which to bring
to appeal.
Right.
Yes,
so
and that's what they're saying.
It means the same thing.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, exactly.
Certificate.
Oh, so Mr. Dickie Jordan was initially sentenced to die in Mississippi's gas chamber. But this execution method came into question following the 1983 execution of Jimmy Lee Gray.
Firing squad. Hanging. Blow dart.
They did not. Blow dart. Could
Seriously,
you
get
imagine?
a little dart frog juice on it.
I bet it'd be relatively painless, don't you think?
Yeah.
If one could choose.
We covered a case
their way
where
to die.
frog poison killed someone during
The venom from a toad.
Yep.
Right.
I remember that case.
Venom of a
Blow
toad
dart,
episode.
I'll shoot him with a blow dart.
Now, state legislation made lethal injection the execution method for all offenders sentenced after April 1984. But offenders who were already on death row were still subject to execution by gas chamber until 1998.
I'm sorry, that's actually hilarious. If anything was backwards, it would be that.
Yes.
If you've determined that a method of killing someone
was inhumane.
And you've switched over, you don't just say, well, sorry, those of you convicted before this date have to go out to the firing squad. Everybody else is going to get a pretty shot.
I know. I don't get
stupid.
it.
That is silly.
It really is.
We have this nice gas chamber, though, and we want to make sure that we use it.
Yeah, it costed a lot of money.
No.
We want to get our use out of it.
I would take a good method of death of execution argument for Supreme Court purposes over any of his other arguments so far.
Agreed. Yes. So the state actually didn't begin carrying out lethal injections until 2002. So they had identified in 1998 that the gas chamber probably wasn't the best way, but they didn't go with lethal injection until 2002. In later years, Dickie Jordan's execution was delayed by legal challenges to the lethal injection procedure filed by Dickie Jordan himself and other inmates. Additionally, states have had difficulty.
But why didn't he get the gas chamber?
Well, he's appealing all of this. Remember,
he's
all of
appealing
this
the
is
gas
being
chamber,
held off.
And oh, by the way, if I get the new method of execution, which is lethal injection, I also have objections to that.
Yes. States had difficulty obtaining the drugs typically used in execution, such as the fast-acting barbiturates. All right. So by February 2011, for example, the latest American manufacturer of sodium thiopentol stopped selling the drug. And the only American manufacturer of
Barbiturate?
No.
Is it a barb?
It is a barb, but it's pentobarbital.
Pentobarbital. It's pentobarbital.
I can't read it. I can say it with my eyes
Sing
closed.
it. Sing it.
Yes. Hold on, I can. Pentobarbital. See?
Just sing it.
Pentobarbital.
We know it's Crime Furious the musical.
It is. All right. So this American manufacturer of pentobarbital, was asking states not to use it for executions. So they manufacture this, but they're like, but we don't want you to use it to kill people.
Please don't use this to execute people. I wonder if they had issues with like potential like dosages and stuff like that.
I don't know. But death penalty legislation in Mississippi required the fast-acting barbiturate or a similar drug in the execution cocktail. So you can see how we're having some problems between the manufacturer of the fast-acting drugs and the ability to get it.
I have a solution to all of this.
I have a lot of solutions, but probably shouldn't say them out loud.
I have one that I'm willing to say out loud.
What's that?
Why don't we just ask him how he would like to be executed?
Well, he didn't want to be executed by gas chamber or by a lethal injection that wouldn't be fast-acting.
So I want to know.
Give him a list. Here's 10 choices.
I always ask people to solve their own problems, right? So when you come in and you have an issue, I would say, and I do that with punishments, I say things like this. Would you rather go to jail or would you rather go to rehab? And I let them choose.
Yeah.
Okay? Most of them actually choose rehab.
Sure.
Some of them choose jail. And you have the option to choose jail, by the way. You can do that. So I want to know what Dickie J wanted. Well, because you know what worked for him? Gunshot to the head. That worked on his victim, right?
It did. It seemed to be very, effective.
How would you like to be executed? Let me check with our government, state government, to see.
We know from his appeals he doesn't want the gas chamber and he doesn't want the lethal injection that wouldn't be fast acting.
He wants to have it overturned and set back again.
The state used pentobarbital until they could no longer obtain it, and they plan to continue lethal injection with alternative drugs, but death row inmates challenged the use of these drugs in court, effectively bringing executions to a halt in 2012. The Mississippi Department of Corrections made plans to utilize compounding, which is the preparation of a drug from raw ingredients, to produce pentobarbital. Or
now she's singing it wrong.
No, I'm not.
Pentobarbital.
What did I say?
Barbiturate.
Oh, okay.
You're mixing the class with the drug.
Yes, the class with the actual name of the drug.
Yes.
Anyway.
I'm enjoying it.
Or another sedative, all right? So MDOC was storing the raw ingredients for the pentobarbital at the Mississippi State Penitentiary. After the August 2015 lawsuit filed on behalf of Dickie Jordan and another inmate, the federal district judge blocked MDOC's use of compounded drugs Before this ruling, the state's Attorney General, Jim Hood, had asked the Mississippi Supreme Court to issue an execution date for Jordan. This man has been on death row since 1977, essentially. So the state passed a new death penalty statute in 2017 requiring a new 3-drug execution cocktail, a sedative, an anesthetic, so the sedative's going to make you sleepy, the anesthetic that can render you unconscious, and then the muscle paralytic, all right?
That stops
like
your heart.
Potassium chloride or a similar drug. Under the 2017 statute, if lethal injection is deemed unconstitutional or is otherwise unfeasible, the state may use execution by essentially gas chamber, electric chair, or firing squad.
They chose fire and yeah, there you go.
They've said, okay, if this all is unfeasible, then you have these options.
Oh, electric chair would be terrible.
Shortly after the 2017 changes to the death penalty statute, Jordan challenged the state's use. All right.
They just gave you options, Jordan.
I know.
Dickie J.
Specifically on midazolam, which was a sedative that was on the grounds that it doesn't actually render a person unconscious. So he's like still trying to control how he might die.
Then do the firing squad, Dickie.
Yeah.
Don't let them shoot you up full of that stuff. Pick firing squad.
The Mississippi Supreme Court, who's got to be sick of this asshole by now, ruled 7-2 to deny Jordan a hearing on the matter.
Okay, just for the record, we can call him an asshole, but I actually find all of this incredibly interesting, and it's
knew you
clearly led to rules that are in place now in this state that I'm sure others followed, and all of it had to do with federal moratoriums on executions for a while, because the feds did come in and didn't allow for any states to complete executions for a period of time.
They did.
So
Yeah,
I
they
don't
came to
like
a halt.
him. I think he's making life miserable for the victim and whoever survives left of her family, I should say.
Of course. And also probably the Supreme Court, because they're probably real sick of
I
hearing
don't
about
feel bad for them. They get paid.
Yeah, I get it.
Never
But-
feel bad that we have to do our jobs.
So anyway, they denied him a hearing on the grounds of that drug, but he did have an ongoing federal court challenge against MDOC's use of this drug. In November 2021, in Mississippi's first execution since 2012, the state used the midazolam. And
Was it Dickie J?
it was not Dickie J.
God damn it.
Was
Nope.
someone waiting longer than him?
They used the three drug cocktail to execute David Neal Cox. In a statement issued before that execution, the commissioner, Burl Cain, refused to say where the department obtained the execution drugs. So I know you want to know about, is this guy still alive?
Yes.
Has he been executed?
Yes, I want to know
He'd
that.
be 80 years old now.
Yeah.
In early October 2024, the Mississippi Attorney General, Lynn Finch, filed a motion with the state Supreme Court to set an execution date within 28 days. On May 1st, 2025, the Mississippi Supreme Court set the execution date as June 25th, 2025. Jordan was executed by lethal injection
2 months ago.
at the Mississippi State Penitentiary as scheduled on June 25th, 2025,
At the age of
79 years old.
wow.
I think it's total bullshit
Not only did he
that
basically
he got to
spend,
live to 79.
well, he basically got his life sentence and then an execution.
Right.
He
So,
did.
in all
He did.
fairness, depending on who you
It's
are as a
win-win.
person,
I mean,
did you?
both parties.
Yeah.
Both parties win.
They did.
They did not.
He
I mean, we did not win. The,
No.
the judicial system did not win.
no. Well,
They-
I mean,
they failed miserably.
we kind of did. If we as a judicial system were able to come up with something, there's always going
they
to be a
let-
reason to appeal.
They let some jack off manipulate the system for 60 years.
And it just so happened.
just 50.
50.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Samsonite. I
Math.
was way off.
Well, let me tell you what his last meal consisted of.
Okay.
Chicken tenders,
There you go.
French fries, a strawberry ice cream, and a root beer float. His last words were, quote, "First, I would like to thank everyone for a humane way of doing this. I want to apologize to the victim's family." Couldn't use her name, just said the victim's family, end quote. He then thanked his lawyers and told his wife that he loved her before saying, "I will see you on the other side, all of you." Richard Gerald Jordan was pronounced dead at 6:16 p.m. at 79 years old. He was the oldest man to be put to death in the United States since 83-year-old Walter Leroy Moody Jr. was executed in 2018 in Alabama. His execution also made him the longest surviving death row inmate to have his sentence carried out. I told you in the beginning I would share with you how our listener Donna came to learn about this case when her son did a story on Richard Jordan.
Yes.
Her son was selected as a member of the media to cover his execution. So her son was there when he took his last breath.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm. For Edwina's 89-year-old widower, Charles, and 59 and 52-year-old sons, they did not plan to attend and basically said, "Is this really justice?" He lived from the ages of 29 to 79. That's 50 years in prison, while Edwina was only permitted to live 34. But some family members did attend and felt that it was just and right that he should face his last moments knowing that his last moments were about to happen, just like Edwina did from the moment she had been taken by force, even if it did take 50 years.
Okay.
What a interesting case, huh?
Legal roller coaster ride.
Mm-hmm.
I love the recommendation, Donna. Thank you. And what a hell of a story from your son.
I know. Yes, who covered the execution.
Wow.
She had sent me a couple of news articles and literally was like, he had to do the piece on the perpetrator, not on the victim. And truly, I see why. There was plenty of interviews that her family did, but her children and her husband truly really just wanted this behind them.
Yeah.
They said over and over again that they try not to dwell on this.
At least they weren't having to come to parole board hearings, but I am like completely astounded and I have compassion for them that this is what they're just constantly dealing with.
Yep.
When's he going to be executed? Oh, another appeal. Oh, now they've stayed executions. Okay, now we're back again. Like, at what point does this end? And that's why, did we really get justice? Right. He was executed after 50 years, a full, basically, life sentence in prison. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I think Jason says no.
Yeah, no.
There's no justice there.
Well, and I think that's why her husband or her widower and her children feel the same way, whereas more extended family, like her siblings, are like, no, I wanted to have
I
him
understand
face
that there are people who have been on death row and perhaps they didn't get a fair trial, or perhaps there wasn't information available at their trial and were wrongly convicted. However, that's not the case for Dickie J.
No.
There was never new evidence. There was never new, he never tried to defend himself of the crime. He just wanted a different sentencing. Mm-hmm. That's where I'm stuck, that I'm really just...
Because quite frankly, he did get the sentence of life in prison. He got what he wanted.
So I said he kind of got both. I mean, he got to die at the end of life at 79.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I know good human beings.
And he probably only lived to 79 because he was fed 3 times a day.
Well, he got to live a lot longer than a lot of really decent human beings who don't have the luxury.
I don't think that there should be, and again, I'm not the legal expert, you are, but my opinion is, I don't think he should have these options of all these appeals when they have nothing to do with whether or not he committed the crime or not.
I know.
There's the potential that they could have not granted cert or leave to appeal from the one specifically where he had agreed that he wouldn't appeal anymore. Okay, like that could have been, but it's up to the Supreme Court whether they believe that there's an issue, and it's not always about him. It's about other defendants throughout the state when a Supreme Court decides to take certiorari to see, is this an issue that's going to come up in the future? And the death penalty has been a huge thing in the United States, state specific, and then at a federal level about whether, and look at all of the states that have, could you have imagined, just to interrupt myself, if in the meantime, Mississippi would have decided that they are no longer a death penalty state?
Right.
And that happens, Jason.
It does.
Well,
you have people who have a state conviction. It's not federal, where they're sitting in a federal penitentiary waiting for the feds, because that's legal. If they would have decided that they're not death penalty state, you're going to have a death sentence with a person then that will never be carried out. So there's often not justice in justice, and I see it every day, and so do you. Would you guys like me to bathe you, though?
Yeah, if you're going to bring us a bath, bring us a bath.
This is an incredibly wholesome story. Have any of you seen this, by the way, with the robot and the lion?
No.
I have. Okay. I did see this. I did.
So it starts off, lion, this is from the Facebook, so I'm sure it's real.
Sure.
Lion costs leading AI company $500,000 after a risky experiment. In Africa, researchers pushed the limits of AI by sending their prototype robot face-to-face with a lion. Before the trial, the machine had been prepped with hundreds of animal images and books on emotions. It studied, and it could identify joy, sadness, anger, and fear. And on paper, it was flawless. But the moment the lion appeared in the real-life trial, the system broke down, and the robot's logs showed only cat big, scared. Then it glitched, and it repeated scared more than 100 times until it froze completely. Cat big, scared, 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 100 times, and then it just died. Memory wipes of this AI robot didn't help. The fear was buried so deep that every time the robot saw a four-legged creature, from a goat to a house cat, it responded the same, no, scared. Engineers eventually had to tear out part of its CPU, a fix that cost the company $500,000 and 8 months of work. The experiment ended with the first robot in history diagnosed with PTSD.
That's awesome.
Amazing.
Yes. Wholesome and scary, and at least a little bit maybe refreshing to know that when AI takes over, maybe the solution to it is a big, scary four-legged animal.
Yep, that's all.
Big cat, scared.
No. Scared. Oh, well, thank you for that. And thank you all so much for listening week by week. If you could leave us a good review and, or even just hit the stars things, that would be great. It helps when you guys leave reviews and the stars, whatever it is, or whatever platform you're listening on. When you leave reviews, it actually does help us be more visible to other listeners too. So if you want to join Patreon, you can. The link is in the show notes to support the show. But if you can't do that, at least leave a review. That does help too. But also coming and listening each week is extremely helpful, and we really are grateful for you. So thanks so much. Now, in the meantime,
what? You're not ending?
I am ending. But I'm afraid I'm going to mess it up because did you listen to me last week?
Oh, both of you together?
I was a wreck.
You were a train wreck.
I could not end us. Yeah. And so now I'm trying to remember what's my line. And my line usually is, we hope that you keep it curious.
And keep listening.
Until next time.
Bye-bye.